As we step into 2025, the landscape of travel is set to experience some significant changes that will impact both seasoned travelers and those planning their first trips. If you're someone who flies often or is planning a getaway in the near future, it's crucial to stay updated on these new regulations and procedures. From updated ID requirements to changes in security protocols, here's a breakdown of the most essential travel updates you need to know to ensure your trip goes smoothly. Real ID deadline starting May 7, 2025. One of the most important changes that will affect travelers in 2025 is the introduction of the Real ID requirement. Beginning on May 7, 2025, U.S. travelers will need to have a Real ID-compliant driver's license to fly within the country. This means that your current state-issued ID might no longer work for air travel. The new Real ID must have a star in the upper right corner to indicate that it's approved by the federal government. Unfortunately, many states have not yet met the deadline for issuing Real IDs, and only around 70% of states are on track to meet the May 2025 deadline. If you don't have a Real ID by then, don't panic. There are other travel documents you can use to board your flight, such as a valid passport, global entry card, or a veteran's health ID. Some states may even offer a digital version of the Real ID, so it's worth checking with your local DMV for any updates on their processes. Getting a Real ID can take anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks, and depending on the state, there may be additional processing fees or requirements. For example, you'll likely need to bring your passport or birth certificate, proof of residence, such as a utility bill, and your social security card when applying. With many DMVs requiring appointments, be sure to plan ahead. You may also want to consider getting a passport as a backup travel document in case there are any delays with receiving your new Real ID. New passport renewal process. In 2025, the State Department has introduced a streamlined online passport renewal process designed to expedite the application process. This new system is available for U.S. citizens who meet certain requirements. First, applicants must be over 25 years old and have a regular, undamaged passport that was issued between 9 and 15 years ago. If you're eligible, this online service allows you to renew your passport without needing to visit a passport office. There are a few restrictions to keep in mind. You must submit a professional passport photo that meets strict guidelines. No selfies allowed. The photo must have a plain white background, and glasses or head coverings are prohibited. Additionally, the photo must be recent, as the system checks the quality of your submission before approving it. Once you apply, your old passport is immediately invalid, so make sure you submit your application well in advance of any upcoming travel. Processing can take up to 10 weeks, and expedited services aren't an option, so it's best to apply early. One key point to remember is that once you submit your online passport renewal application, it's critical to keep a copy of your approval email and passport details handy. This new passport renewal system is designed to make the process faster, but it's still important to plan ahead to avoid last-minute issues. EU Travel Authorization for Americans. Starting in 2025, U.S. citizens will need to apply for an Electronic Travel Authorization, ETIAS, before traveling to Europe. This new requirement applies to all travelers visiting any of the 27 EU member countries, as well as Iceland, Norway, and Switzerland. The application process is fully online and requires a $7.50 fee, which covers your authorization for up to 3 years. Unlike the previous visa waiver program, ETIAS involves a background check and approval process, which means you'll need to apply before booking your flight. The good news is that most approvals are granted within minutes, though some may take up to 14 days, so it's important to plan ahead. Keep in mind that the authorization is necessary for all non-EU visitors, including cruise passengers, bus tourists, and day trippers. For families traveling with children under the age of 18, ETIAS approval is still required, but children are exempt from paying the application fee. Seniors over the age of 70 are also exempt from the fee, although they must still apply for approval. Be sure to check your passport details carefully when submitting the application to avoid delays, as any errors could slow down the approval process. Liquid Rules. Reversal 2025. In an effort to make air travel more convenient, the European Union had planned to relax the rules on liquids allowed in carry-on luggage. However, this change has been reversed, and as of 2025, the familiar 100 milliliter limit per container is once again in place. This means that all liquids in your carry-on bag must still fit in a clear, quart-sized bag. Although some airports had previously relaxed this rule, they will now have to comply with the stricter limits due to challenges with security scanners. For travelers, this means you should once again pack your toiletries in travel-sized containers or check larger bottles in your luggage. If you're bringing prescription medications, make sure they're in their original packaging and be prepared to provide a doctor's note if needed. If you're traveling with babies, remember that baby food and formula may require separate screening. Always check airport-specific policies before your trip, as some terminals may have unique rules. Baggage size changes, European Airlines. Traveling to Europe? Prepare for some changes regarding baggage size limits, especially when flying with budget carriers. While many European airlines allow passengers to carry on a 22-inch bag, others have stricter size limits of 21 inches or smaller. These weight restrictions can also vary between airlines, making it more challenging to pack light. As a result, smart travelers measure everything, including wheels and handles, before packing their carry-on bags. To avoid surprises at the gate, frequent travelers recommend sticking to a 21 by 14 by 9-inch bag, which is usually safe across multiple airlines. You can also use a luggage scale to ensure you don't exceed the weight limit. It's a good idea to keep the airline's baggage size chart on your phone and have a backup plan in case your bag doesn't meet the size requirements. If you're in a bind, you may need to buy a new approved bag at the airport or pack a squishable bag that adapts to smaller limits. Family Seating Guarantee 2025. Traveling with children? Good news. Airlines now have clear rules for family seating on all U.S. flights. Any child under the age of 13 must be seated with at least one parent, and there are no extra fees for this seating arrangement, even if you're flying on a basic economy ticket. This is a welcome change for families, as it makes travel easier and ensures that parents don't have to worry about being separated from their children during the flight. To take advantage of this new policy, make sure to book your seats early and review your airline's seating map. Many airlines allow you to check in 24 hours before departure, which is the best time to secure your family's seats together. Keep your children's age documents handy and always request family seating when making your reservation. If an airline tries to separate your family or charges extra fees for seating together, remember that you have the right to keep your family together at no additional cost. Make sure to document everything, including seat assignments and booking confirmations, and report any violations. Airlines are now required to prevent family separation automatically, but it's always best to plan ahead and monitor your seating assignments before your flight. Refund Rights. What you need to know. In 2025, airlines are required to automatically issue refunds for significant delays and issues that impact passengers. If your flight is delayed by more than 3 hours, you are entitled to an automatic refund, and if your luggage is lost, you'll get your baggage fees back within 12 hours. Additionally, airlines are now offering 5-year travel vouchers for canceled flights. To make sure you're protected in case of delays, keep a close eye on your flight status and save any emails or messages from the airline. It's also important to keep receipts and photos of any expenses incurred during delays, as airlines are required to cover reasonable costs. If you experience a significant delay, file your claim immediately and monitor its progress through the airline's app or customer service channels. Security upgrades 2025 and beyond. Airport security is undergoing major upgrades, starting with the introduction of a self-service security system in Las Vegas. Pre-check passengers will be among the first to test the new 3D scanners, which will allow you to leave laptops in your carry-on bag during screening. If this new system proves successful, it will be rolled out to other airports across the country. In addition to the 3D scanners, face recognition technology is expanding to American airports, with pre-check lanes being the first to adopt it. This means faster, more efficient security checks for travelers who participate in TSA pre-check. As international travel becomes more streamlined, some connecting flights may not require a second security check due to standardized security protocols. Dublin has already implemented this system for U.S. flights, and other airports are expected to follow suit in the coming years. Conclusion. Be prepared for 2025's travel changes. With all these new rules and regulations coming into play, it's important to stay informed about how they might affect your travel plans. By planning ahead and keeping track of these changes, you can ensure that your next trip goes off without a hitch. Whether it's getting your real ID, applying for the EU travel authorization, or adjusting to new baggage and seating policies, staying prepared will make your travels smoother and less stressful. So before you embark on your next adventure, make sure you're ready for the travel changes that 2025 will bring. Safe travels.